Is it just my perception, or does like having a lawn or like grass plant also just kill the fertility of the soil?
No, not at all.
It doesn't?
No, not at all.
So it's good to have grass?
Right, because every time you mow that, the grass plant accommodates it by shedding some of that matter in the root. So, you know, our soil, we took out our front lawn, and that first year I had a fantastic wheat crop. And then the next year, which was last year, I had a fantastic potato crop. But I did have a little bit of wireworm problem. The wireworm is one of the aspects of changing your sod into tillable soil. So for instance, what I should have done is waited another year before potatoes. But you know, we're still okay.
Lawns are better than concrete, and they're just mowed meadows. Some of the negative stuff with lawns is when people put the chemicals on it that are killing the soil and using the gas mower on it. But lawns can be living biohabitats. They're just mowed meadows.
Yeah. Some of the people have experimented with having lawns that they mow in between their rows. And I thought of that and was going to do that one time, and then I thought, nah, the grass it uses too much nutrients.
Why does the grass plant shed organic matter when you mow it?
It's just the way it is. I mean, if you think about it, it's you got this root mass, let's say this big, and you got this top that's doing the photosynthesis.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you shear that off, no more photosynthesis.
Mm-hmm.
So
it just dies.
Red alert, you know,
Yeah.
danger, you know. And so let's cut bait. And it's just, you know, it's the way it happens. So and Joel Southon, you know, relies on that.
He calls himself a grass farmer.
He's a grass farmer, exactly.
What he's doing.
And Gene Logson wrote a book
Grass.
called All Flesh is Grass, I think. And he talks about stuff like that.
The other neat thing with legumes is when you cut them back, the roots will release nitrogen into the soil. So there's some edible forest gardeners that will actually prune some of their perennial legume crops at a certain time to get the nitrogen into the soil when they want it, which is it's miraculous.
Yeah, it works great. As a general rule, you want to let your legumes go up to flower, and then you cut them or till them, because that's when they're at their peak. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question about that, about the flavas, because I do like to eat some of them. So if you let them go to seed, then have you used up your benefit to the soil and going into the seed production instead?
Not necessarily, because the favas, you know, they produce the seed, and then the legume nodules that are on the roots are still there. And so the nitrogen that the plant used is still there in the soil. And so you've got that concentrated bean. Okay? Well, the concentrated bean, you know, is basically like a seed meal now. So when that breaks down, you know, if it doesn't sprout, and it just breaks down, say you crush them or something, then that goes back to the soil, and you're set. If you let them sprout again, then that's a new plant, and it starts the whole cycle. So even though there's nitrogen in the ground, the life cycle of the bean, in other words, this genetic programming is saying, let's take nitrogen from the air, and that's part of their photosynthesis process. So you can have favas year after year, and you can build that up. But like they say, the nitrogen, you know, the general rule is you got to put nitrogen on every year. That's not quite true, but there is a certain amount that gets chewed up by the microbes.
So if you pick the beans and eat them, then would you want to cut those stalks and leave the roots in the ground?
Yeah,
you can't till them in at that point.
Right. Yeah. Well, what I do is pull them and put them in a big pile.
And just have them as compost.
Right. Yeah. Or you can another thing I use a weed whacker a lot. So you can just whack them down, and then just let them sit all winter, and then they're all broken down and you just till it. Works great.
You know, the soil place on Hannigan Road, I bought a truckload of soil
Grow Source?
from there.
Huh?
Yeah, do you know anything about the quality? It seemed to be pretty good.
Yeah, the Grow Source, they have 3-way and 4-way, which has compost in. I don't trust that compost anymore because it's like half mushroom compost and half steer compost. So you don't know where the steer compost is coming from. You know what they've been fed. You don't know a lot of times. And the mushroom compost got a lot of salts in it. So that's why I don't buy commercial compost anymore. I got, the first couple of years here on the farm, I got, you know, a couple big trucks of Grow Source compost. Now, for instance, a lot of people like Brent Harrison, he likes Smith's compost. They're out in Linden. And what they're doing there is they have a big dairy farm, and they take the manure, they separate out the solids from the urea, and they spray the urea on their fields or sell the urea for the blueberry farmers, and that's that terrible smell from the blueberry fields, the urea. And then they compost the solids, and then they sell those solids to the organic growers. Okay, the solids don't have much nitrogen, but like Brent says, I'm not after the nitrogen, I'm after the organic matter. Okay. Yes?
The Smiths family loves Monsanto products.
Do they?
They proudly wear Monsanto clothing.
Yeah.
The owners of Smith's Compost father thinks that organic farming is worse for the planet than
Right.
conventional farming. And
Yeah.
Source actually uses steer manure. I found this out. I read a lot of research today.
Right.
They use steer manure from steers that have been they don't receive any shots of any kind,
Good,
and they
good, yeah.
are all organically fed.
Right. Well, that's good. And that's part of, one of the things when we're marketing our products, the best way to have safe food is to know the first name of the farmer who grew it. It's the same sort of thing. She's gone to the source, and she's found out, so now she trusts us. Okay. So that's good. Yeah. And that's, when we're doing things locally, we can do that. Yes.
One of the homestead style size gardeners that's influenced my thinking has been John Jevons at Ecology Action.
Mhm.
And he originally did the double digging method. And it's great in the beginning to add all this organic matter to our garden if we can get it. But what he's influenced my thinking on recently is he does these studies where he wants to be able to teach into any country to grow all the compost and organic matter on site. And the
Right.
figures that he's come up with is when you look at the full season in one plot, he's having about over 60% be growing the compost matter, and then a smaller percent for what you're eating and another percent for the income. So it's shifting my thinking, like how important it is if you have the space to grow your organic matter, because we might not always be able to go to Smith's, or when the dairy farmers decide they want to put that onto their own land, we got to grow it ourselves.
Right.
So that was that's a lot of space.
Right. Exactly. And so that's why, like now, I don't buy compost. I make my own. But but whenever I can, I scrounge around and get free stuff too. So for instance, in January, I got 110 these big round bales weigh 1,000 pounds. They're wrapped in white plastic. And Larry and I it took 30 days for us to unwrap them. And they're made by industrial process. And they're just huge, and they're all slimy, and they're all partially rotted. And it was a real big deal for Larry and I. Sort of, two puny humans, sort of like taking apart this industrial agriculture nonsense. And but they're all spread out now, and so it's really nice thick mulch, and it's like a sheet mulching. You kill the grass underneath it, and then within a year, some of it, and then for 2 years, at least all of it, within 2 years, it'll all be nice soil, and it's going to raise my soil level up too. See. So that's the kind of thing where I got it free. It came in there with the dump trucks and just dropped them on both sides of the driveway.